Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the Cycling Dane YouTube channel. Last year we made a couple of videos about the top 10 pro cycling transfers of 2021. So we thought that in today's video we would rank the 25 riders featured in his videos against each other according to their results in 2021 in comparison to their previous performances before signing to their new squads. As always, this is a subjective list, so don't forget to join in the conversation down below. Anyways, let's get going with our list. Number 25, Carl Fredrik Hagen. First on our list is Norwegian rider Carl Fredrik Hagen, who changed from Lotto Soudal to Israel Startup Nation. He may have been plagued with injury in 2021 as he only took part in one stage race so far, so clearly he did not reach the same heights as in 2019 when he finished 8th at the Vuelta a España. Number 24, Chris Froome. Next on our list is the highest paid cyclist and arguably the best Grand Tour rider of his generation, Chris Froome. Despite Froome's palmarès, he's still recovering from his 2019 crash at the Criterium du Dauphiné, as well as a tumble at this year's Tour de France. Nevertheless, for what Israel Startup Nation paid for him, the results have not been on par with his previous seasons. However, he has drawn a lot of attention to Israel Startup Nation. Number 23, Ilnur Zakarin. The Russian star Ilnur Zakarin changed teams from CCC to Rus Velo. However, the former Grand Tour podium finisher's best result this year has been a top 10 at the Vuelta a Asturias. Otherwise, he did not manage to trouble the top 10 in any World Tour races this year, but he did clinch the national road race title in June. Number 22, Enrico Battaglin. Next, we have Enrico Battaglin, who stepped down from Bahrain Victorious to Bardiani CSF, but the three-time Giro d'Italia stage winner did not fulfill his full potential in 2021. In fact, his third place at the Giro dell'Appennino was his only season highlight. Number 21, Bob Jungels. The next rider on the list is an exile from De Koning Quickstep, Bob Jungels, who changed scenery to Age Desert Citroën this season. However, this move has not lived up to the huge expectations some people had. Jungels has not seen any classic success and has been used as more of a domestique in 2021. Therefore, we don't think his 27th place at Paris-Nice is impressive for a rider who has formerly finished in the top 10 at the Giro d'Italia. Number 20, Iban Garcia Cortina. Next, we have a rider who was one of the most exciting transfers for some, and that was of course Iban Garcia Cortina, who moved from Bahrain McLaren to Movistar. Nevertheless, despite an exciting couple of seasons at Bahrain, the continued progression has not continued into 2021, seeing as the Spaniard has 0 wins to his name. Bank Tour winner has not been able to take any results, even if he was part of the Tour de la Provence triumph. On the other hand, he was also not part of any Grand Tour team, so it has not been the debut season that the Belgian rider would have wanted. Number 18, Pierre Latour. A rider who has taken the step down to Pro Continental was Pierre Latour, who moved from Age Desert La Mondiale to Total Energies in 2021. This move down though has not suited Pierre Latour well. Along with a third place finish on a stage at Paris-Nice, Latour had a strong week in the Tour de France but quickly faltered unfortunately. There is still plenty of potential for Pierre Latour in 2022 and we will be hoping for stronger results from this French rider. Number 17, Sepp van Marke. Nearly man Sepp van Marke moved to Israel Startup Nation at the beginning of 2021. After an impressive opening to the classic season at Omloop, we had high hopes for Van Marke. Furthermore, a 5th place at the Ronde van Vlaanderen and a podium finish overall at the Cetama Ciclista Italiana in 2018. After a disappointing spell at NTT Pro Cycling, the Dane headed to EF, but a disappointing start to his season at EF troubled him before an impressive set of wins at the Coppa Sabatini and the Giro della Toscana. Hopefully, however, 2022 will be better for the Dane. Number 15, Matteo Trentin. There has not been any World Tour wins this year for Trentin. The Italian has managed to clinch a number of one-day results, including 8th place at Omloop en Nieuwsblad, 4th at Kuurne Brussels Kuurne, 3rd at Gent-Wevelgem, and a 3rd place at Brabantse Pijl. Nevertheless, this has been a strong season for the UAE Cobblestone Classics rider, and we've also seen him shine as a lead-out man. Number 14, Michael Matthews. Michael Matthews was one of the biggest transfers of 2021, as the Aussie star was disgruntled with his snub for the Tour de France team last year at his home team Sunweb before moving to Bike Exchange in the winter. Unfortunately, the return to this Australian team has not been met with much success, despite being part of both Tour de France and Vuelta a España squads. Alongside a 2nd place on a Tour de France stage, he also finished 5th at Gent-Wevelgem, 6th at Milano-San Remo, and 4th at Amstel Gold. Number 13, Greg van Avermaet. After Age Desert Citroën's super team rebranding at the beginning of 2021, Greg van Avermaet was seen as one of the stars of the team. However, the move did not live up to the very ambitious project. Nevertheless, Greg van Avermaet did manage to take a 3rd place at the Ronde van Vlaanderen, alongside top 10s at Idrie Harrebeke and Dwars door Vlaanderen. However, more was expected from this former Paris-Roubaix winner. Number 12, Miguel Angel Lopez. Well, we know that this was going to be a controversial one. Despite sealing Movistar's only Grand Tour stage win of the year, Superman Lopez was far from super in 2021. After starting the season rusty, he won the Vuelta a Andalucía as well as the Mont Ventoux Challenge. However, the Colombian's Tour de France was far from memorable. What was more memorable, however, was his turbulent Vuelta a España, which included a stage win at the Gamoniteiro, as well as a provisional third place before stage 20. The narrative of stage 20 is a whole mess, but Lopez failed to score a single World Tour overall podium in 2021, which is a deep disappointment to say the least. Number 11, Attila Valter. The only Hungarian on this list is the rising star Attila Valter, who changed from CCC to Française des Jeux in 2021. In his first season with Groupama, he managed to show his true colours at the Giro d'Italia, where he wore the Maglia Rosa for 4 days and retained 14th place overall until Milan. All in all, this was a fabulous Giro d'Italia and a baptism of fire at the French team. Bora Hansgrohe, and the German managed a number of top 10s in one-day races, but the result that put him in our top 10 was the stage win in Nîmes at the Tour de France. On that day, he was the strongest rider by far, and won with an 11.8km solo ride to the finish in Nîmes, taking Germany's only Grand Tour stage win of the year. Number 9, Rafał Majka. In 9th place, we have Rafał Majka, the Polish star, who was brought to UAE from Bora Hansgrohe after 4 years there. Majka was signed as a super domestique for Tadej Pogačar and was often the last man for him in the mountains. Majka helped Pogačar to seal success at the UAE Tour, Tirreno Adriatico, Tour of Slovenia, on top of the 2021 Tour de France triumph. Nevertheless, on his own, Majka sealed a stage win at the Vuelta a España at El Barraco. So it's safe to say that this has been a fairly solid season for the Polish rider. Number 8, Romain Bardet. Romain Bardet leaving AG2R Citroën for DSM was seen as one of the shocks of last season's transfer market. In his first season at DSM, he rode a consistent Giro d'Italia, finishing 7th overall. Later into the season, Bardet won a stage win at the Vuelta a Burgos, and on stage 14 of La Vuelta a España, he sealed off a stage win there. Maybe more was expected from the 2016 Tour de France runner-up, but the Frenchman certainly proved that he wasn't done forever. Number 7, Wilco Kelderman. Next, we have a rider who left Sunweb in favour of Bora Hansgrohe. The Dutchman had to live up to an impressive 3rd place at the 2020 Giro d'Italia, and to some extent he did so, with a 5th place overall at the Tour de France, as well as a 5th place at the Vuelta a Catalunya, 10th at the Tour de Romandie, and a 4th place. Kelderman could be content with 2021. Number 6, Tom Pidcock. Tom Pidcock has been one of the best neo-pros of 2021, whilst also juggling ambitions in cyclocross and mountain biking. In a hotly anticipated World Tour debut season, Pidcock didn't fail to impress, as the Yorkshireman finished in the top 10 at Kuurne Brussels Kuurne, Strade Bianche, and gold medal at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in the mountain bike discipline too. However, his Vuelta a España couldn't quite live up to expectations, but his season was still very impressive at the age of just 20. So it was an exciting prospect to see what he could do at Ineos Grenadiers. It's safe to say that the Colombian certainly delivered. In the Giro d'Italia, Martinez claimed a neat 5th overall finish while supporting his teammate Egan Bernal to victory, finishing 2nd at the Vuelta a Catalunya, 2nd at the Tour de Romandie, on top of a victory at the Criterium de Dauphiné. The later part of Richie Porte's season, however, did not quite live up to the first half of the season, but the Australian certainly has had a good year at Ineos Grenadiers. Number 3, Jack Haig. Jack Haig left the shadow of the Yates brothers and Chavez at Mitchelton, signing for Bahrain Victorious in 2021. Haig revitalized his Palmares early on in the season, with a 7th place at Paris-Nice and a 5th place at the Criterium de Dauphiné. Unfortunately, however, the Tour de France was cut short after a crash on stage 3. But at the Vuelta a España, Jack Haig led Bahrain Victorious and secured a podium spot, becoming the first Australian on the podium at La Vuelta since 2019 with Cadel Evans. Number 2, Jasper Philipsen. 2nd place goes to Jasper Philipsen, who stepped down to Pro Continental from UAE Team Emirates in order to join Alpecin-Fenix. In 2021, Philipsen recorded a number of big sprint wins, including the Celdeprijs and the Eschborn Classic over in Frankfurt. Philipsen took part in his 2nd Tour de France this year, and the Belgian starlet finished on the podium of stages on 6 occasions. Furthermore, he capped his Grand Tour success off at the Vuelta a España, with sprint wins on stages 2 and 5. Still at only 23 years of age, this is certainly definitely been a profitable move to Alpecin Fenix and will surely carry this momentum on into 2022. And finally, number 1 is Adam Yates. For our top spot, we have to recognize Adam Yates of Ineos Grenadiers. After a top 10 at the Tour de France last year, he left Mitchelton Scott with mixed ambitions. In his first season at Ineos Grenadiers, Adam Yates went toe-to-toe with Tadej Pogacar at the UAE Tour. He won stage 3 and overall at the Vuelta a Catalunya, as well as 4th place at the Tour of the Basque Country behind Pog, Rog and Jonas Vingegaard. Nevertheless, in his big goal of the season, La Vuelta a España, Adam Yates finished a respectable 4th place, ahead of supposed leader Egan Bernal. With Adam Yates now comfortable at Ineos Grenadiers, we're wondering what's on the horizon for the man from Lancashire. Anyway, that's our top 25 from our rankings last year. Yes, there are some riders who really shined bright this year, including Ben O'Connor, who did not feature on our list, but tell us down below if you guys think we made any mistakes or if you should bring up some new names into the mix. So all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you around.